You are watching
Ask the Instructor. Absorb the knowledge. Become the expert.
Hello and welcome into this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. My name is John Cursimo, and this show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate every single Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time. We are here, we are live to help you understand the technical side of the real estate industry. And we've got this open up to the public today. So if you want to tune into the official broadcast to ask any questions, tsre.us/live. We'll take you right there. But let's get down to what we're talking about today. How to make money in real estate. How do you make money in real estate? What is the amount of money that can be made in real estate? So we're going to go straight to the board today. We're going straight to the board because we're going to jump right over to an article. We've got this set up on tampaschoolofrealestate.com or just tsre.us for short. If I could get to the internet here. There we go. And so one of the biggest questions that we get isn't necessarily how do you make money in real estate? Because if you have seen like one of these real estate TV shows, I mean, it doesn't necessarily cover everything, start to finish, but honestly, the gist of it, of helping people buy and sell homes, there's maybe a little bit more that goes on to the paperwork and detail side of things that isn't as exciting. But ultimately, the biggest question that we get, other than how do you get a license, is, we'll just search for this here, because this is a new article that we just pulled. They're really impressive statistics, which if you've been on the fence about starting a career in real estate, if you've been wondering about the money that can be made, if you've been struggling with inflation, if you've been trying to figure out, what is the best course for your future. We're going to go right to this article here on income in real estate. And we got all kinds of different terms on here. We're going to get a quicker, easier way to access this. But yeah, this should be the one. And it's actually a significant update to an original article going all the way back to 2022. But we've got, here it is, these statistics in here that are pretty mind-blowing. And we're going to go directly to the actual Glassdoor site here to dive a little bit deeper into this. But if you look at that there, real estate agent salaries in Florida, Glassdoor.com, one of the top websites for employment information. Over 8,779 salaries submitted. And we've got a pay range. And this is going to factor in bonuses, commission, primarily commission. Commission is how most real estate agents get paid. So if I were to bet money on it, I would say in large part, this is going to be mostly just commission income. But in the range of $163,000 to $292,000. Now, that is not necessarily maximum and minimums, but that's the range of the medians and the averages and what is in the typical salary range. Now, for somebody who is going to be established, you might not go out in your first year of real estate and earn what they've got here is the median of $216,000 in your first year. But is it possible? Absolutely. And what we're going to be breaking down today is how to understand further that actual dollar amount. How do you actually get to that? What is the actual price points? We've got a lot of really great statistics that we've packed into this article here that really break down, I would say, really everything you need to know as it relates to income potential through a real estate career in Florida. So if that's what you've been thinking about, if that's what you're interested in, then again, good news for you. Today's show is absolutely for you. So again, if you're tuning in live, tsre.us/live, we'll make sure we've got the chat loaded up here so you can tune in. And any questions, again, that you have, put that into the live chat. There we go. Perfect. So again, welcome in if you're just now tuning in and joining us on this week's Ask the Instructor. My name is John Christmo. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate every single Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern time. We're here to talk about real estate, to talk about building a successful real estate career and the things it is that you need to know. Now, if you want to see the finished, final cut, edited episodes of all of these Ask the Instructor episodes, we've got those all cataloged at tampaschoolofrealestate.com. So if you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever it may be that you found this video, check that out, tampaschoolofrealestate.com, and really browse through that catalog. But back to today's exciting topic, the number one question that we get is, what is possible in real estate? What is possible in terms of flexibility of my schedule to work when I want, how I want, to be able to be my own boss so I could become my fullest potential of myself, to achieve and unlock the greatest amount of opportunities that I can? And along with all of that, the one underlying thing that really drives people to decide to start a career in real estate is usually the income potential. And then being able to work on your terms, being able to build your own schedule, set your own flexibility, be able to build a team so that way you can still take vacations and you don't have to do everything all yourself all the time, because that could be stressful. So there's no reason you cannot build a real estate team of assistants, of buyer's agents, of seller's agents, of however big it is that you want to scale it. But you could build something truly phenomenal. So let's get into how to make money in real estate. Now, I want to go ahead and pull up this article here on the Smartboard that breaks down a very alarming statistic, to which if you're just tuning in here and you haven't seen this yet, you're going to be say whoa when you see this. But this one right here, $216,281 per year. So what are we talking about here? $216,281 per year. We're talking about real estate agents' salary insights, specifically from Glassdoor.com. And we're going to actually head right over to the actual full Glassdoor website here. We'll load that up. We'll go back to this other tab here. Well, that can tell. Perfect. There it is. So here we are, nice and clear. Right on this. You could log on to this website right now and verify these statistics on your own. This is based on almost 8,800 submitted salaries. So these are real estate agents out here. And this is their reported income. Now, this is going to primarily, I would again put money on it, that this is commission income primarily, but maybe there's some sort of bonus, residual, recruiting bonus, little things like that here and there that supplement to ultimately break down, hey, this is what the total pay for a year would be. And this is current statistics, last updated in June 6, 2024. Widely conducted survey, again, Glassdoor.com, major company for this here. And we've got some breakdowns further of different ranges. The big one here in green, the one they're making the most obvious, $163,000 to almost $300,000, $292,000, with the median being $216,000. So these are crazy statistics to see. And this is specifically for Florida. So if we hop over back to this article, here it is. This has got some really great information. It's got another past episode of Ask the Instructor you could check out that dives deeper into real estate income. And this really breaks down all kinds of different things. So such as, again, you're not necessarily going to get a real estate license and in year one just make $216,000 just because you have a real estate license. No, that's not how this business works. This isn't something where, you just go get the job and you get paid regardless of how good of a job you do. That might be what you're frustrated with right now, where you're looking for a better opportunity, something to where you could really reward yourself for your efforts and not have to rely on the rewards of whatever organization it is that you may be working with that may be struggling on its own right now with inflation, with supply chains, with all the things that are to be managed in larger organizations like that, depending on what you might be working in. So with real estate, you're helping broker deals. You're helping buyers and sellers, owners and renters come together. You're bringing them together. You're helping them negotiate a deal. Seller wants the highest price, buyer wants the lowest price. You get them there. Whether you get the buyer up here, you get the seller down here, you get them somewhere in the middle, your job is to get them there, to help them overcome the obstacles, the mental objections, and that is going to build with experience. So as you become a more experienced professional, and we'll write on these here. So experience. Your most difficult year in real estate is going to be your first year. And as you become more experienced, regardless of what goes on in the real estate market, you're going to become better equipped to handle everything that you have in front of you, good times and in bad, because the real estate agents just don't all lose their jobs when the real estate market slows down. No. They adapt, they change their business. Maybe some of them move on to other things because maybe real estate really wasn't right for them in the first place. But that experience will also help you negotiate higher commission rates. You know, if you're brand new to the business, it's real easy to just go undercut everyone's prices and get business. Simple as that. Because there's always somebody willing to pay less. Willing to sacrifice value, willing to sacrifice experience, specialization, and market conditions in exchange for value. Or perceived value, at least, of cutting the cost. Now, as you become more specialized in a particular area, in a particular type of real estate, in particular situations, and for example, specializing in foreclosures or short sales or distressed properties, or in specializing in investors or condos or single family homes, or again, whatever local market you might be in. Your real estate license, by the way, is good anywhere in Florida. You might need to join different MLSs to be able to access certain tools that you might need to be able to conduct business in those areas, but ultimately your Florida real estate license works everywhere in Florida. So while it does work everywhere in Florida, you want to specialize in certain areas because Florida is a really big place. If you try to specialize in all of Florida, there's a lot to know. A lot of roads to know, a lot of streets to know, a lot of everything to know. Not saying that you're not qualified, that you can't figure that stuff out on a case-by-case basis for a good deal, a big deal, a deal that makes sense. But keep in mind, you could also refer business out. And that referral does not end in Florida. That referral can be anywhere in the world. Florida, a law will allow you to earn a referral fee from any jurisdiction anywhere in the world. You just have to have an active real estate license. And then when you have somebody who wants to buy property in New York or California or Massachusetts or Colorado or New Mexico or Illinois or Michigan or Arizona or Canada or Mexico or somewhere in Europe or Australia or wherever it may be, that you could connect your client, your contact, to a real estate professional in that market, you could earn a referral fee. And typically this is usually in the range of like 25%, although I've personally have signed a referral fee as high as 50% before. So half the commission could be even up for grabs, even more than that. Whatever is agreed to is what ultimately goes. And you could become a specialist just in doing referrals, in relocation. Now, market conditions. Understanding market conditions, understanding how to structure your business to market conditions, understanding how to market your business related to market conditions, all very important. And so as you become a master of these items, you will become more able to earn maybe this amount, maybe more, maybe closer to it. It really comes down to you as the individual, which again, if you're looking for a free ride, that's not what real estate is. Real estate isn't a free ride, but it is something to where what you put into it Now, some deals, they might fall apart. But if you could keep that in mind, some deals will fall apart. It's not a perfect world. Everything isn't going to go 100% your way 100% of the time. But for those deals that do go through, you're going to get rewarded significantly. And you're going to be rewarded based upon your negotiated commission rates. That is one of the things that is great about the state of real estate that we're in right now. Tune in Fridays for State of Real Estate, 12 noon Eastern time. But the state of real estate that we're in right now, where buyers and sellers both negotiate their own commissions. There was legislation that everybody thought was going to be a big deal, and it kind of was a big deal because it was a shift in the status quo. But ultimately, it really forces the world that we live in right now. It forces buyers' agents to also negotiate their commission directly with the buyer instead of it being packaged into the sale price of the listing. It could still be, but it's not necessarily as much of an expectation now because that information can't be published in the MLS, although it still can be published otherwise, just not in the Realtor Multiple Listing Services. So that gets a little confusing, but don't get hung up on those details right there because especially if you're brand new to real estate, you're not going to know any different. This is just how real estate is now unless something changes, but I don't see anything changing in the near future at least, and we'll keep you updated if it is. Tune in on Wednesdays and Fridays for Ask the Instructor in State of Real Estate, 12 noon Eastern time. But yeah, let's get back to this here. These are really impressive statistics. I was surprised to see these here, to see, wow, okay, yeah, but the thing is, this is what's driving that. If we go down to the rest of this article right here and talk about what is really driving these higher salaries, because this is higher than statistics I've seen in the past, but it makes sense when you see this. So we've got a breakdown here of how to actually calculate commission. And before we go today, I will show you this interactive commission calculator because this can be a game changer for really understanding how money is made in real estate and how you could build a business plan based on that information. So we'll touch on that before we wrap up from today. But again, getting back to what is really driving those higher increases there are when we talk about average sale prices. So in the Tampa Bay area right now, average sale price, we're looking right about $420,861. That is a significant increase of what that number was several years ago. Florida has been a popular destination for many, even more so, exponentially so really in the last few years for a multitude of reasons that have driven that growth here in Florida, that we've always experienced a surplus of population growth, and again, even more so recently, which has not been matched with the same increase in supply, especially because a lot of this growth is happening in the more urban markets. You see a lot of redevelopment of older urban areas to where there might be just a few houses, and now all of a sudden there's a massive condo tower being built. For example, in South Tampa, they're just about to finish the second Ritz-Carlton tower here in Tampa. A few years ago, we didn't have any Ritz-Carlton towers, and now we have two of them. Two Ritz-Carlton massive residence towers on this massive, immaculate property on some of the most coveted real estate in Tampa, of Bayshore Boulevard, right near Bay to Bay. It's as bay as it gets right there. But that's part of what's driving up home values there, and these properties are not sitting vacant; they're selling out in record time. I was just one of the properties in there looking at one of the listings the other day. It was, I believe, in the range. It was five figures. It was a 5-figure a month HOA. That means over $10,000 a month for the HOA. I think it was one of the larger properties. Don't quote me on any of that. Contact a licensed real estate professional for all of that real estate advice specifically right there, because we're all just hypothetical and theoretical here on these shows here from the education standpoint, but I'm actually a practicing real estate broker as well. I hold multiple real estate licenses, so there is a lot of this real world stuff that I see that I get to distill into the theory that we teach on here at the Tampa School of Real Estate. So it's exciting times to live in because you really see a lot of the theories get tested for what they are. But again, we have seen that increase there. Now, what's even more of an increase here? So we see Orlando, $381,000 for their average sale price. But if we take a look at the Miami area, $559,000. This is, again, the average. $559,681 for the Miami area, and then also Jacksonville on here coming in at $296,000. So this is the highest in the Miami market. Again, your Florida real estate license will work anywhere. There's different MLSs for most of these areas. Tampa and Orlando, they actually share the same MLS. It's under Stellar MLS, so you could really work both of those markets quite easily. And this is where we've seen really significant gains, because a few years ago, Tampa was a lot closer where you see like Jacksonville in the sub $300,000. Like we were at a $250,000 average price point. I could remember that very recently. It's been a few years, but we've had such steady growth, and there's been massive developments that have sprung up in Tampa, from the Water Street development to a lot of the redevelopments, like I said, those Ritz-Carlton towers, to in the South Tampa area specifically, there's all kinds of other towers that are going in, from the Marina Point District to the West Shore Yacht Club, a big, massive, multi-million-dollar properties, to where, again, we're competing a lot more with that South Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, the Naples, those markets, and even in the homes that are being built down there, they a lot of them, they're like, oh, this doesn't look like something that came from Tampa. So, you know, only time will tell how that fits into the overall architecture, and if it'll end up looking like some of like these 1980 homes that you could really pick out as you drive around the area. And also a lot of the other areas. It's really fun studying real estate and seeing the different designs that were used. You could very clearly see which homes were built post World War II, which homes were built in the 1920s. These are some of the most standout of, you could very obviously tell when they were built. So again, the 1920s, that's where you get a lot of those bungalow style homes. You have the post World War era where you see a lot of the longer block homes that all over the place. And you could also see in times where, different things were done. You could see the homes that were built in like the 2007, 2008 range. There's certain properties that I've seen even where, you could tell where certain units in condo buildings, they kind of changed things up halfway up because they could tell the market was shifting. So it's really interesting to see the stories that all these designs and all of this tells as it relates to the real estate market. And if you find that stuff interesting and fascinating yourself, if you like watching the HGTV channels, the Property Brothers or whoever, I think Property Brothers are still like the reigning champs for most viewership on those TV shows. Ryan Serhant, maybe you're a fan of him. He's got actually some really great books. He's actually got some really great post-licensing, not necessarily that gives you the credits, but just training programs and sales. So a lot of different opportunities. There's a lot of really great structured environments that you put yourself into, and that's what's a big differentiator from real estate to most other types of business ventures that you put yourself into. Think of being in a franchise. Maybe you buy a McDonald's franchise, maybe you're doing a Chick-fil-A franchise, maybe you're doing a Steak and Shake. I don't know if they've got Steak and Shakes all over the country, but let's go back to McDonald's, because everybody knows that. And McDonald's is probably the best example, because McDonald's is probably the most systematized franchised restaurant out there. Now, granted, I'm not in the restaurant industry, so maybe somebody will say, no, John, it's actually blah, blah, blah. Okay, so maybe you could prove me wrong, but everybody knows McDonald's. That's undisputed. Everybody knows McDonald's probably more than any other type of restaurant food brand. And so they have so much system, so much processes, so much figured out in what creates an efficient hamburger restaurant. That's what you're buying into when you buy a franchise, rather than just, say, opening up your own McDowell's. What was that movie there? Was that Coming to America, I think, with the McDowell's instead of the McDonald's? And look, you could figure out all this stuff on your own, but also if you could bank on the experience of others. Now, the question just is, how much does that cost? And, you're talking a franchise. It's not just a share of the profits. It's big money up front. The crazy part with the McDonald's franchise, if you watch like the Founder movie, You know, they turn it into a major money-making, I don't want to call it a scheme, but a major money-making plan in terms of them owning the actual real estate and having the franchisee who's coming along to open up this McDonald's be the one putting all the money in for the improvements to the property, the structure, the restaurant equipment. They're putting up all the money, and what McDonald's is supplying is the land, and they're supplying that land in the form of a lease, so they're really just supplying a landlord of themselves. And more importantly, and this is why they want to be the landlord, because they want to make sure all of their systems are followed, all their processes are followed. But in terms of it being a lucrative business investment, now look, you can make a ton of money with McDonald's, but it's going to take a lot of money to get started. That is much more of a investment because there's so much figured out in terms of the business side. Where in real estate, a lot of people think, okay, I'm going to get my real estate license and I'm on my own. No, you're actually legally not allowed to be on your own. You actually have to have a broker that you're registered with. And so there's a variety of different brokers that are out there. And let's hop over to this business plan calculator here. We could really break down what this kind of looks like in terms for you. So let's say we've got a $250,000 property. This is our business plan calculator. Again, that's linked right in that Realtor Income article that we've got there. So at just a $250,000 price point, now this is a below average price point for every single one of the markets that we've looked at. The closest was Jacksonville, coming in at like $296, and also Orlando is just a little bit ahead of that there. But so again, this is a below average property. So I'm not trying to, give you some big, like huge, like, oh wow, there's no way I could ever sell something like that. This is very easy to do. This is where a lot of transactions get done in this price range. Maybe not always in the area that people want with all of the things it is that you want, because in this real estate market, $250,000 is going to require some compromises, but it's not necessarily a want for a lot of people, but more of a need in a lot of cases. And we could very easily turn this into a $450,000 property. And now we're just slightly above average. In the Tampa area, we had 420. Matter of fact, we'll actually use that. We'll use the average statistic here to do these calculations. Since again, that's currently coming in at $420,000. Now, commission rates, those are negotiable. We're going to leave this at 3% right here, but again, maybe you trim that a little bit if you're brand new, you're just starting off, to be able to negotiate more deals, to get more experience under your belt. Now, your brokerage commission split, you could go all the way to a 100% option. It's just a question of what are you getting in exchange for that. There probably is some sort of fee, maybe a monthly fee, maybe upfront fee, maybe transaction fee. There's some way that brokerage that's basically there to oversee you is getting some sort of cut on this. So, maybe this again is a 100% commission split, or, let's say maybe it's an 80% commission split. Maybe you start out with more like an 80% commission split, and as you get more experience, you move on to a 100% commission split, because maybe with these commission splits, you're getting more coaching, mentoring, training, help in getting these transactions done. That help doesn't come for free, but again, that structure is there. And the great news is, compared to, say, investing in a restaurant franchise, you're not having to pay all this money up front. It is paid out of the profits, and we're only talking here like 20, 30, maybe even 40%, but even if it's 40%, you're still getting more than half of the commission, and you're getting, again, more guidance, more support, more training, or at least that's what you should be getting. When you're starting a real estate career, it's very important you do this business planning, figure out what you want to get from real estate, and now find a brokerage that's going to match up with that. Not just in terms of the financial sense, but what it's going to take to get you producing numbers to be able to have something like that. Because if you want to make $100,000, you would need about 10 deals at these figures that we've got figured out right here. So $420,000 average sale price, 3% commission, that gives us $12,600 total commission. Let's say you've got 20% going to your broker, meaning you're going to keep 80%. So that's just a little over $10,000 going to you. So for that $100,000, we'll call it 10 deals that you need. But let's say not all of your deals are going to close. That's to be expected. Maybe it's not 50%, because even if you're brand new, you know, hopefully you're getting like 70, 80% of your deals to close. If not, you've got a big opportunity for improvement. Because again, if you're not closing deals, what's going wrong? What could be handled in advance? What could be better negotiated? Because yes, deals fall apart, but it's not something that should be happening half the time. If it is, again, you've got areas for improvement, which is good news, because if you could figure out what you've got to fix and improve, you're going to make way more money if you could go from a 50% closing percentage to a 70% closing percentage. That easy, because you went from needing 20 appointments, if it was 50%, to only 14 appointments. Or 14 contracts, I'm sorry. Contracts, not appointments. Because not every single contract will turn into a closing. They'll fall through for various reasons. Maybe the financing didn't come through, but honestly, at this point, I don't see that happening with a lot of deals, because if you get far enough along to get the pre-approval to be able to get the deal under contract, odds are usually pretty good that that deal will get to the closing line. Again, that's not true for every scenario, but better than it has been in the past. I think, you know, people are just using technology more. Technology is more advanced. Things have been a little bit more streamlined over the years. So whatever that may be, again, you might even have an 80 or 90% closing percentage, because maybe you make sure you negotiate stuff up front. And then if there is an issue that comes up in the inspection, you've gotten good at being able to negotiate repairs or concessions or whatever it is that make your clients happy and want to continue to do the deal. Now, the next question is your appointments. And now this is something where I might say, okay, you know, maybe it is only 40% of your appointments result in a contract. Or, you know, maybe it is, let's say, only, we'll call it 33%. Now, what does that mean? That means that out of every 3 appointments, you're getting a contract. Now, you might say, well, John, that's maybe still a little high. Maybe it's 1 out of 4. 1 divided by 4 is 25%. So if you're getting 1 out of 4 appointments, you're getting into a contract, that's a 25%. If you're getting 1 out of 5, that would be 20%, and so on. You just do that in your calculator. 1 divided by however many appointments it takes you to get, and that's going to give you your contract percentage here. And this might involve, you know, showing multiple homes. If we're talking listings, this might be, you know, a preliminary appointment and then an actual listing appointment. And then maybe there is open houses being done. However it is that you want to do this, this is your business plan. And you could even take these same formulas and apply that into your own spreadsheet. But rather than having to figure out how to build your own spreadsheet, we made you this nice little calculator right here. And we've even got this video you're watching right now on how to use this calculator. So let's call it that. Let's say you need 70 appointments for the year to be able to hit that goal it is that you want, which that sounds like a lot. But if we go down here and we break this down, and we've got some other statistics to break this down, we're only looking at about 1.5 appointments a week, which if you're doing this full time, that's going to be very low. If you're doing this full time, you should be doing 2, 3, 4, 5 appointments a week. Because the more appointments you have, the more contracts you will get. The more contracts you get, the more closings you get. The more closings you get, the more commissions you get. You know, because what we've got figured right here, we don't even need 1 closing a month. If we needed 10 closings based on this average of about $10,000 of commission to get that $100,000 goal, that means 2 months we could go without selling anything. But then what happens if we actually do sell something 1 every month? Well, that makes, at $10,000, that's now $120,000. So you've given yourself a bonus off of your projections. And that's completely possible. But where you want to focus in the most on making this possible is the actions that are going to be required to get to that level of success it is that you're calculating for here. So when we talk about appointments needed, again, this might be an opportunity for you right here to go from 1 out of 5 to 1 out of 4. That might not sound like a lot, but if you can improve that from 1 out of 5 to 1 out of 4 to jump that up to 25%, instead of needing 70 appointments for the year, you're only needing 56 appointments for the year. So now you've dropped a lot closer down to just 1 appointment per week. If you get your contract percentage, your appointment to contract, up to about 25% or 1 out of 4 appointments. And again, as you develop your skills, now if you've got sales skills, if you've got customer service skills, if you've got people skills, if you've got communication skills, that's all going to help you in terms of your contract percentage, your closing percentage. communication skills specifically. And not necessarily that you could speak in front of a crowd. That's not the type of communication skills. I'm not talking about public speaking. I'm talking about direct person-to-person communication. Or what if, somebody doesn't answer their phone? Maybe you try another method of contacting them, text messages, phone calls. Maybe you follow up with a later phone call. Maybe you're on top of all this stuff here. And maybe people are answering your call because they love talking to you. They're not avoiding your call, but they get excited to take your call. You could build and shape that business as you see fit, as you desire. So really exciting what you can do. What we're looking at next year is the leads needed. So this is going to be where maybe your business plan could branch off even further, because a lead is not a lead is not a lead. Leads are going to vary based on not just where they came from, but just based on that individual and where they're at in their home buying or selling journey, or their real estate investing journey. Wherever they're at in their journey, that will shape of what this number is here. So if, let's say, 1 out of 4 of your leads results in an appointment, in somebody that you go on an appointment with and go on enough appointments to be able to do deals with, or even if you just go on one appointment, if you're able to get to that next stage of appointment here, we're talking 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4 leads. Now, if you're paying like $100 a lead through Zillow, you're really blowing it with those 75% of the leads. But if you're just getting these leads from referrals and friends and family, it might not seem like you're doing half bad, and you're not. But this has a major room for improvement here, especially if we're talking about qualified leads. If we're talking about qualified leads, that's where I'd like to see this moved up even into the range of like 85% of good quality leads. But the bad news is you've got to go through, typically, regardless of where these leads come from here, at least some bad leads, even if it's only half. And again, if maybe you're out door knocking, this I would say is going to be a lot higher, because when someone does answer the door and does want to talk to you, you probably, if you talk to 100 people, typically what is usually found in door knocking, that you could usually get at least 2 or 3 leads out of 100 people. So that means that out of 100, if we're talking about 100 doors, that's only 3%. But let's say you only talk to 10 people, or maybe even only 5 or 6 people. That makes a huge difference in terms of that appointment percentage. But again, maybe you are paying for leads, and maybe you do, because if you're paying for leads and you're paying a high dollar, in theory, those should be good quality leads with a high likelihood to end up with an appointment. And so the more you could plan this out and estimate out, the more predictable your business becomes. And when your business can be predictable, it can grow predictably. See how that works? If you could predict it, it could grow predictably. And the last question here is for bringing you back into this equation more so, about how much you're going to work. Now, we've got in here 4 weeks off, but if you're coming from the corporate world, you might only be used to this, like say 2 weeks off, or maybe not even that. Maybe you do get more time off. It depends on what job you're coming from here. But if you want to make that 8 weeks off, you can. And what's great about this calculator here, you could say that you want to take 2 months off, because if you only need 10 deals, then why do you need to work those other 2 months? If you get 10 deals in 10 months, then you can go take 2 months off. Or maybe you spread it out, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, 3 weeks here, however you want to fit it, you could build that. Maybe you want to work 6 days a week so you could take those 8 weeks off. Maybe that's how your formula comes together. Maybe you're only working 4 days a week. And so whatever that comes out to, that's going to help reshape these numbers here for how many leads you need to generate a day, how many appointments per week, and how many closings per month here. And so you can play with these numbers here and really get a feel for where you want to put things at. Let's say you're going to really discount this because you don't like talking to strangers. So let's say you're only going to get 20% of the leads. Is that still doable to make the $100,000 in a year we've been projecting? Yeah. You just need about 2 leads a day. So if you're going to blow it with half your leads, then just 2 a day instead of 1 a day. If you get 100% of them, then 1 a day. But let's say you're really bad there, maybe get 3 a day. And that still is going to be doable, because if you get to that range of getting 3 leads per day, you're creating activity that ultimately is going to translate more and more and more to commission income up here. And so if we're getting to the point where we're getting 3 leads per day, let's see what we could do to here to make this 3 leads per day. Let's jack up the numbers. Let's say year 2 is coming along here, and we don't want to make $100,000 anymore because inflation and blah, blah, blah. So we want to make $250,000, let's say, year number 2. Because if you can make $100,000 in year number 1, why stomp at that? If you make $100,000 in your first year, I don't think you're going to just go the second year and be like, yeah, I'll just do that again. That might be what ends up happening unless you really do focus on creating further growth, because you've got to change the plan now. Things are different now, because if we want to make $250,000, let's say this holds up. Let's actually do this. We'll make it a little bit easier on ourselves, because we'll say we've moved up to a 90% split. So we maybe negotiated that with our current broker or moved to a different brokerage that has a higher commission split. We might even be at a 100% operation. But whatever that comes out to right there, now we're making about $11,000 per deal. But we want to make $250,000 for the year, so we're going to need about 22 deals. And our closing percentage, let's say, again, we're getting good. We're getting real good. We're up to maybe not 89%. We'll say 80%, because 80% is good. If you get 80% of your contracts to close, you're doing something good. That means you're getting 4 out of 5 deals to close, 4 out of 5 contracts to closing. That's great statistics. It can be better than that, don't get me wrong, but if you're at 4 out of 5 deals, keep doing what you're doing. Maybe look for some little things to improve, because you can still always improve. That's the great thing about this. There's always somewhere you could tweak your business, and it might just be multiplying what you're currently doing if you really got these numbers dialed in. If we talk about, again, maybe 1 out of 3 appointments, and if we're in a really hot market, if you guys think back to like the 2020 and the 2021 real estate market, where real estate was literally flying off the shelves here in Florida, especially, that's where you might be getting a contract on your first appointment. Crazy, but that does happen in real estate. So the what's going on in the market, the average days on market is definitely going to factor into that as well. So we'll say that's a hotter market going on here, and let's say that we're getting real good at getting appointments. We're getting real good at getting appointments, and let's say we're getting like 55% of our appointments, not 255. 55% of the appointments, we'll say. So then we only need 155 leads. And now we're only at 1 lead a day. And that's not what I wanted to do at all. So let's say we still are not good at getting appointments. Let's say we've gotten even worse at getting appointments. What does that look like? Okay, 3 leads a day. Can you do that? Can you get 3 leads a day? You could probably get 5 leads a day, because we're talking about 8 weeks off. And you know what? That is a little crazy. Maybe you're excited, you like what you do, and it doesn't feel like work. Maybe you are working 6 days a week. Maybe it's only 5 days. And again, we're still at 3 leads. Maybe we want to make that 5 days a week, see what that comes out to. Is that right? 2 leads a day? Let's turn some of these other numbers back down here. I mean, 33%, that's still, but let's say 25%. Let's say we're good, but we're maybe not that good yet. So how many leads per day? 3.1. And you're like, okay, well, if I could really make that much money, then, well, how much would it take for me to get to 500,000? How much would I have to do to make $500,000? And you look at this here, wow, 44 contracts. I don't know if I could do that. But let's say this. Let's do one other thing here. Because if you're trying to go for $500,000, you might even be able to get, again, you could get 100%. You can make no money and have 100% commission. There's all kinds of different types of agreements that are out there, different commission split structures. But let's put it there. Because if you're going for $500,000, especially with most tiered structures, you're usually going to end up with most of your commission, even if you do start off on, say, a 70-30, and then go to an 80-20, and then a 90-10, and then a 95-5, and a 97%. As you go up to these higher graduated structures, there's some brokerages that are a little bit more complex with their commission plans like that. And so, again, we're looking at maybe about 40 deals here. Maybe we're not closing all of them. Maybe we're having some issues scaling the business a little bit, so we're doing like 70% of them, and our contracts, we'll leave that at 25%. That's already a a lowish number. We've got 15% there. We're still taking a month off. And, we're talking about 6.67. Maybe we're only going to take 3 weeks off because we're really going to grind it out this year to make it happen. And does that even have much of an effect? No, not really. So yeah, why not? Just leave it at 4 weeks off. It's not going to change anything. There we go. 6.53 we've got. And 5 appointments a week. So that means if you're working 5 days a week, you do 1 appointment. So you just got your real estate license. How can you jumpstart your real estate business? The number one thing you should do before you do anything else is post-licensing. Now look, this is already a requirement, so you're gonna have to do it anyways, but here's why you wanna do it early. The sooner you do post-licensing, the sooner you're gonna learn the real world concepts in post-licensing that will help you create a business plan, that'll help you plan for your success in real estate. Post-licensing is all about real world topics that are usable, that'll help you grow your real estate business. And at Tampa School of Real Estate, we have the best post-licensing courses around. Find out more about how post-licensing can help you jumpstart your real estate career. Go to postflorida.com.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida real estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the Question Simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam. Are you studying for your Florida real estate exam? If you are, you need to check out our Pass First Try strategy. You're going to love this. It's 4 steps that we break down the process to study for your Florida real estate exam. So you're set up to pass your Florida real estate exam because that's what you're studying for, right? To pass your exam. It's 4 steps. Number 1, you learn the information. You've got to learn this to be able to pass the exam, but it doesn't stop at learning. Step 2, you've got to reinforce the basic, simple, key concepts. As you learn this information, keep reviewing the simple things. You don't need to know everything, but you got to review these basic key concepts. Step 3, you've got to test your knowledge. The exam's going to test your knowledge, so if you don't test your knowledge in advance, you won't find out if you know what you think you know until you take the exam. And then step 4 is be confident and prepared, because even if you know this material, you need to be confident that you know the material. Check out the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com.
Have you seen what's going on in Tampa? Thinking about getting your Florida real estate license? Look, the process is probably easier than you think. We break it down step by step, how much it's going to cost, what it is that you need to do to get your Florida real estate license. Find out all of that and more at licensefl.com. Again, that's licensefl.com.